Hi there, thank you for joining me today. In this video, I wanted to share my tips and tricks for keeping my handbags looking pristine. So I'm going to jump right in with my very first tip, and that is to choose a handbag that's appropriate for the weather and for whatever activities you're doing that day. So for example, I keep this old purse around, even though it's well worn, but it's my rainy day purse, and I don't have to worry if it gets wet. Even though it is worn, it still looks okay to carry. So that is the purse I choose for days that are rainy, but also if I'm going to a concert or a theme park or someplace where my purse is going to get battered around a little bit, it's a good alternative. I'm never going to choose one of my newer purses or expensive purses. Now, to go along with that, if you do find yourself out in the rain and carrying a nice purse, they do make raincoats for your purse. Some purse brands actually include one with the purse, but this is just a generic that you can get on Amazon or probably eBay or maybe even the Container Store. It's just a large plastic sheath that just covers the purse, so it doesn't actually fit a particular purse, it'll just fit several of them. Tip number 2, and Archie's in the house. Tip number 2 is to protect the leather and fabrics of your purses. So if you have leather purses, you're going to want to get something that will work on leather. This is a rain and stain repellent, which is nice, especially if you like to carry Louis Vuittons that have the vachetta leather that easily stains from raindrops. So find a product you like and then apply it to your handbags. You can also put it on your belts and shoes as well. Something like a Scotch Guard would be good on fabric purses. Not only will it prevent stains from getting on your purse, but also hopefully by repelling the water or liquids, it's going to keep the contents a little safer as well. Tip number 3 is to clean out your purse daily, and that's just something I do. My mom taught me to do that, but it is good for a couple of reasons. A, it keeps extra weight out of your purse and extra stuff from cluttering your purse. But B, it also keeps you a bit more organized, because if you have little cards like reminders for your manicure or dentist, you can go ahead and take them out of your purse, put them in your calendar, and that way you won't forget an appointment. It also will help because you can see what you have. Maybe you ran out of lip gloss, and so if you're cleaning out your purse, that's going to be a reminder to replace your lip gloss. Tip number 4 is to stuff your handbags when not in use. So this is just a little handbag that I have that I've made a form for, and the forms help the purses keep their shape, keeps them from getting bent, distorted, or otherwise, hurt in their form or function. So I just took, for this particular one, a piece of foam that was long and thin, folded it over itself, hand stitched around the edges, covered that in batting just because I needed to bulk it up a little bit for this bag, and then covered it in fabric. It's not even a great sewing job, but it does fit perfectly in the handbag. You don't want it too big so that it stretches the leather, nor do you want it too small because then it's really not serving any purpose. This one, I put a little pocket in the middle because this handbag has a shoulder chain, and I wanted to be able to keep it with the handbag but not have it roaming around loose so that it might scratch the leather or hurt the person anyway. You can also buy these online, especially if you have a designer bag or a very popular style of bag. A lot of manufacturers will already have the dimensions and make them available to you. You can probably have custom ones made, and if you're really in a pinch, I have been known to just stuff a bag with, packing material. So I always keep these little air packs around, and they fit nicely in a bag to keep it stuffed. The other thing I wanted to mention, like on this bag, it has a leather strap that goes with it. When I'm storing the purse, I go ahead and take these straps off and I lay them flat, such as this, in the bag. You know, put them in a loose circle, put them in the bag, so that then when I put the stuffing on top, it's not bending the leather. So that is something good to keep in mind. Some bags come filled with tissue, so if they do, I just go ahead and leave that in. This is an example of a purse that did, and that is just one more way of keeping your handbag from losing its shape, but it doesn't cost you any time or any effort. Number 5 is to, after you finish carrying your purse, be sure you wipe it down with a soft cloth like a flannel that hasn't been treated with anything. Not only is that good for the leather, it gets any oils or debris off the leather, but it also is good for any of the metal components to keep them from tarnishing or the oils, you know, wearing away on the finish. So after you carry your purse, be sure you wipe it down. Don't introduce any new chemicals, just use a clean, soft cloth. Tip number 6 is to store your handbags in some kind of a fabric bag just to protect it. This handbag came with a cloth bag, and the great thing about it is it's cut to fit the bag, and it also has a label so that I know what the contents are and without having to open it up. If your bag didn't come with some kind of a protective sleeve to keep it in, you can use an old tote bag that maybe you don't use, or you could even make something just out of scrap fabric. Tip number 7, in addition to storing your handbag in a fabric bag or sleeve, when you store them, I like to keep mine on a shelf, and I like to keep space in between each handbag. That prevents them from getting crushed, but also, like with this handbag, it has little spiky studs on it that would actually imprint onto a leather handbag that was next to it. So give them each room. That also allows them to have air circulation, and it prevents any stale odors from attaching to your bags. So it's just a good idea to leave plenty of room and space, and to not jam as many handbags in a given spot as you might be able to fit in there if you squeezed them tight. Number 8 also deals with smells. You want to be sure that you're not spraying perfume on your handbag. Not only will that possibly ruin the leather or lining, but it also, if you like to resell your handbags, a lot of people don't like the strong perfume scents. What you might want to do if you feel like your bag needs freshening is take a dryer sheet, put it in an envelope, and then put that envelope inside the bag. In this situation, I would not want to put a dryer sheet or even a dryer sheet in an envelope next to the leather, because that could transfer a chemical or coloring or something like that. So just put it inside if you don't think that's going to harm your bag. Tip number 9 is to be very careful with the handles of your bag. In my old bag I showed you a little bit ago, on the handles, of course, it has that kind of rubbery, waxy trim that covers the raw edge of the leather. And in the case of this bag, not only has that leather cracked, but it's peeled off. So handles take a lot of abuse from us just in the wear and tear. There's always oils in our hands or makeup on our hands, dirt on our hands, so that can transfer over to your handles. They do make protective pieces that you can put on handles. Now this handbag actually came like this, but there are like Etsy and Amazon places where you can buy coverings. Usually you'd want to purchase them in a color that goes with your purse or is the same color as your handle, and that helps because you're not getting the transfer of dirt, but it also keeps your rings from cutting into the leather. If your handles are cloth, they're actually going to seem to attract dirt, so that's another good reason to put some kind of protection on your handle. One thing I have to be careful where I step because of Archie. One thing I think is such a wonderful trend these days, not only does a twilly wrapped on your handles look wonderful, but also, like in this case, this is that vachetta leather that's so light colored, and you know, it darkens over time naturally, but part of that is the oils and the wear. So I added a little twilly around the handle, and that will preserve the new coloring longer and help the handle to not get scratched and stained and that sort of thing. You can purchase a silk twilly on Amazon. You could use it as an accent or make it match your purse. There's a lot of interesting videos on how to tie them, so see what will work for you, but that might be another option on protecting your handles. Now, when I go to store my bags, when I put them in the protective cloth bag, depending on if the bag is too big, you know, I don't want that extra fabric to weigh down my handles. I try not to get my handles bent. So in the case of the bag I store this one on, it is extra large. I roll it down and gather it around these handles so they can stay upright. This is a softer leather, so it would bend and crush easily, so I don't want to store it that way. I also put it on a shelf that is a little taller so that it's not getting scratched on the underneath of the shelf above, nor is it being bent. Now, some handbags, like this handbag, is a very structured handbag. The leather is very sturdy, and these handles are less likely to bend, but they can bend, and that would just ruin the look of this bag and lower its resale value again if that's something you have in mind. So just be really careful with your handles. If you have longer handles, I like to store those sideways on a shelf, those type purses, because that way those handles aren't having to try to support themselves. They can just lay on the shelf and rest. Number 10 is to not carry heavy things in your purse. Handbags, the leather can stretch, and also the structure can relax. So you can see on this bag it sags in the middle. Now, there are thicker plastic pieces you can buy to go in the bottom of your purse to prevent it from doing that. And again, you can find those on Amazon and Etsy and places. I think the Container Store has that as well. A few more items I wanted to mention is every day when I come home, I like to change my purse daily or to go with my outfits. So what I find to be really convenient is to keep just a little plastic tray. This is from a kitchen line in my closet, and I take the contents of my handbag out that night, and then the next day when I choose a handbag, I just put the items that I need in that handbag and leave the other items in my tray. That helps me clean out the handbag at the end of the night, but it also keeps me from having to run around in the morning and possibly forget something that I might need. The other tip is regarding bags in your bag. So my sister told me this several years ago. She likes to keep little cosmetic bags or French purses or whatever you happen to have in her handbag, and each little bag has a purpose. Like this one, I could keep my lip gloss and lipstick in. One of them might be for my keys. The other one might be for hand lotion, nail file, nail clippers, and I put all of these into my bag so that when I'm looking for something, quickly I know where I can find it. But the other part for me is, it seems like every time I'm driving downtown or on the interstate, I always need some lipstick or lip gloss. So all I have to do is feel for the texture of this little French purse, and I know it's going to have my lipstick and lip gloss in it. That prevents me from creating a road hazard while I'm digging around looking for my lip gloss, but it also helps at the end of the night when you are cleaning out your purse. You can see what's not in a bag or in a spot, and those are the items you would need to deal with. That is it for me for this week. Thank you so much for being here. I would love to know what tips and tricks you use to keep your handbags looking good. If you would, write some comments down at the bottom. Give me your feedback and we'll continue the conversation there. If you haven't already subscribed, I invite you to do so. So I will be back next week with a new video. Until then, take care.